everyone, I am Hippienator. I will be showcasing Superliminal Glitchless, and on commentary I have Samwise. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, I'm Samwise. I'm another runner for this game, and I actually developed a tutorial for the Glitchless speedrun, which is what Hippienator is running today.
So I will give a countdown, and we'll start in 3, 2, 1, go.
Alright, so this is Superliminal. It's a perspective-based puzzle game, and good luck Hippie on today's run. But this is going to be a pretty confusing start, at least, while we're still learning about this game, but it's based on the idea that perspective is reality. So everything will be the exact same size as how it looks, and so we're going to be resizing things. So when we grab something, if it looks big, it will still be big. If we grab something that looks small, no matter where we put it, it'll probably still be small. And as we go through, you'll see that concepts being used in a lot of different ways. We're going to start with just this level called induction. It tests a lot of different things. It gives a lot of people Stanley Parable or Portal vibes. And so just now we turned something that was really small into something that was really big. And now in this next room, we're going to be taking something that's really big and making it really small. Except we're speedrunners, so we ignore the intended route and grab a plank in the back. We also learned that we can take objects and just place them really far away, no matter how far away, as long as it looks like it's there, no matter if it's on the floor or on the ceiling. So there's no throwing, it's just grabbing and placing, and things just change size as we move. So this first level, as probably with a lot of different speedruns, it's very reset heavy. There are a lot of things that can go wrong in this level. Hippienator, just barely missed the edge of the second button. But
please stand by for polite recognition.
Yeah, this is a cool showcase of the basic mechanic. And as we move through different levels, we're going to see a lot of different other mechanics that we'll take advantage of. This one thing that we're doing right now is taking advantage of a recent discovery, where if you're on a button, it pushes the wall over slightly, and while it's falling, we can just push straight into it. Now we're going into the end of the first level, and we're moving on to a level called Optical. Optical is called that because it's full of a bunch of different optical illusions. So we're going to be taking things that look painted on the walls and turn them into 3D objects. And throughout the level, you're going to see some walls that look a little strange, and they're meant to just kind of throw you off as a beginner player. But, you know, as speedrunners, we're just going to skip right past all that. So here, for example, it's all about taking your expectations and kind of breaking them a little bit. So this room, we're not actually stuck in. We can just leave and continue on. Upcoming, we're going to be doing a thing called box jumping, or jump resizing, where we're going to take a cube, and instead of grabbing another cube that we're supposed to be using as stairs, we're just going to take the one that we have, and we're going to be resizing it while in midair, so that it gets bigger in the middle of a jump instead of needing a second object to get up. Just like that. As a little fun fact, the devs actually intended for box jumping to be a mechanic in the original game, but decided that it was a little too difficult for casual players to figure out. But they left it in as a nice thing for us speedrunners to use.
Hello, my name is Dr. Glenn Pierce, and I'm just popping in to give you a quick...
So here again, we're going to be taking 2D objects, lining them up so they look 3D, and then pulling them out of the way to make way for the route. Now the glitchless speedrun is mostly based on movement. There are going to be tricks here and there. So you're going to be seeing Hippie focusing a lot on how he's turning around corners and where he's grabbing objects. Here, we're going to be going into an elevator, where of course it's on the moon, so we'll just grab the moon and grab a door that's on the moon, and putting ourselves in it. Now we just went through a portal. There's going to be a level full of portals, so I'll be explaining that a little later, but size matters a ton when it comes to portal doors. But that's the end of Optical. We're moving into a level called Cubism. You'll notice this is the second time we're going through this reception lobby area. This is how most of the levels start. It's just kind of a way to make you think, oh, maybe I woke up just now. But of course, We're still in the dream. And to explain the plot a little bit for people who haven't seen this game before, you're in dream therapy, and it turns out that you got a little lost. So now we're trying to find a way to get out of the dream and wake up. So we skipped the first cube there by jumping on a pole. Now we're going to see that there's going to be a lot of cubes in this level, and none of them are normal. This one's stuck to the floor. And this next room doesn't require any resizes, but we're speedrunners, so we're fancy, and we're going to resize it anyway. The ledge grab mechanic, or mantling, it's very useful, but it does lose a little bit of time. So we're trying to avoid as many as possible. These cubes slide, and the next ones, well, they aren't exactly solid.
Note that a reluctance to volunteer for the risks associated with
Hippienator's running on an older patch of the game which allows the side to stand up like that. On a newer patch, they actually changed it so it'll fall down if you try to do that again. So a lot of runners go on this old patch just so they have to keep the same strats. It's also useful in the all collectible speedrun, which is another one that Hippienator runs. And that is the end of Cubism. Going into Blackout, I do want to provide there is going to be a slight photosensitivity warning towards the beginning here. I will give a heads up for when it's starting and then when it's over. Just some flashing lights. There's also going to be a warning at the end of the game. Again, I'll give some heads up and when it's over.
Hello, my name is Dr. Glenn.
So it's towards the end in this hallway. Yeah, photosensitivity warning. Essentially, this is a level called Blackout, where it's taking on more of a horror theme. And so perception is reality when it comes to even fear. So if you think something's going wrong, it could potentially be a scary thing. So there's going to be blood on the floor. It's a very dark level. And photosensitivity warning is over. We're good to go. So this level isn't really technically very complicated once you realize that nothing's ever going to go wrong. It's just very dark. But Hippienator is going to be doing something called Blind Maze, which I'll explain when we get there. But for now, we're getting to this pit. We know that there's a path there, so we'll just jump, take a little bit of a shortcut. And there's time for a dono here.
Hello, my name is Dr. Glenn Pierce.
If there are any.
Okay.
Okay.
This personally is by far my favorite level casually, but as a speedrun level, there's really not a lot to do. You can actually complete this this level without even interacting with a single object other than a generator at the end.
Yeah, it's very useful in a level call or in a category where we minimize the number of clicks we use. So now he's going to Blind Maze. Normally you're supposed to grab a light to illuminate this maze of cardboard boxes, but Hippienator's played this enough and has practiced this enough that he can do it not only blind, but also forwards without many visual or audio cues at all. It's very impressive. Most runners do it backwards because there's a light that you can kind of see if you turn your brightness all the way up. But with some editing of contrast, brightness, and maybe some other visual settings, it is definitely doable forwards. But now we're coming up to the generator, which will turn on the lights and reveal that all the blood on the floor was just paint. And that is the end of Blackout. And we go to the elevator to the next dream. Things are going to get a little different once again. Back to the casual hotel theme a little bit, but now we're going to be going to a level called Clone, where the mechanic itself is going to change a little bit. So again, it's that movement in that reception area. And this first door is a red herring. It goes, hey, this is a normal level. You're back to exactly what you wanted to do before. You're out of the scary part. Now this next door, when he clicks on it, each click creates a clone of the object, just right in front of where it was. And so the clones are going to be either just like that one, where a click creates a clone, or this clock coming up, where a click picks up the object, but it's actually picking up a clone of the object. So he's able to manipulate where it goes.
Both quantitative and qualitative. Hallucinations of dreaded or annoying objects. Unrealistic beliefs about the lengths of hallways. And other side effects.
So it's this inconsistency that trips up regular players, but for us, it's plenty of practice. You're going to notice that Hippienator's been jumping up slopes or stairs all this time. It makes it just a little bit faster. So we take care to every time we go up or down, we jump.
Warning. Dr. Pierce is frantically submitting numerous spelling and grammar mistakes into the standard orientation protocol in a desperate attempt to counsel you. I have no subroutine to correct these errors, but I cannot compromise the integrity of the
Clone is
standard
honestly
orientation
not a very
protocol.
difficult level technically, at least for speedrun.
They will not make sense regardless.
So not many issues here.
Attention.
Just focusing again on clean movement and being very careful about where and when you click.
Hello. My introductions are redundant. I am a real doctor who went to.
And yeah, for people in chat, the red apple is infamous for new players. It's hard to figure out, but honestly, the solution is very simple. It's just making the apple look like it's on the button and then clicking the apple. As we move into the beginning of Dollhouse, there is a lot of just walking, if there are any donations. Nope. All right. So yeah, Dollhouse is the level that I was mentioning, very dependent on portal size. So we're going to be going into rooms that we dictate the size of based on how big the portal is that we enter. So the first example is going to be coming up right at the beginning here once we're out of the opening section. And there are going to be two doors inside, or there's going to be one door inside and one ledge. One ledge that you can only get up if you're big enough, and a door that you can only get in if you're small enough. That requires two resizes, and you have to be perfectly tall enough to fit in, while avoiding being too small, because if you're small, then you're slow. And so this is really hard for new runners especially, because the difference is small enough that it's easy to just lose time and have no idea why. But of course, we're losing all this time back because we're using the best skip in the game, radio skip. Oh, look at that time save. Yeah! But here we're using the barrier that normally we can't take objects through, so we can use it to resize the fan, push over the Jenga tower, and get in the next room.
If the door lands on top of you, you soft lock. It's amazing.
Oh yeah, there are also soft locks aplenty. Portals are wacky, and a lot can go wrong if you're not experienced and don't know how to use them properly.
Inspirational quote by me. The worst thing you can do is focus on negativity. It won't spare you from the cage of death, the pain of disease.
So now we're thinking with portals, putting one portal near another so we can traverse without having to actually get there manually.
Whatever you do,
and we're going to be thinking with portals again in this next room. There are two portals that are linked to each other. And so we can take one, drop it in front of the keyhole that we're going in, and go through the portal while it's still falling. Grab a second dollhouse that has the elevator in it, and have it perfectly sized to enter right at the end. And that's the end of Dollhouse. Now we're going into Labyrinth, which is probably going to be the most confusing looking level if you haven't ever played this game before. And even if you have, it is still a confusing looking level. We're going to start in a hallway that, from a casual standpoint, again, it looks like just a regular hallway, and you're waiting for dialogue to finish before you're teleported to the next section. What we discovered, though, is that these dialogue triggers are spread out throughout the hallway, and they actually don't go all the way up to the ceiling. So using a certain amount of parkour, we can jump over these triggers and bring the next section closer by about 20, a little over 20 seconds.
Conclusion.
So Hippienator successfully jumped over the first trigger.
Impossible.
See if he gets the second one.
Reformulating.
And he does. So yeah, we skipped about a little over 20 seconds of just talking, and now we can stare at the wall for a little less time while we wait for the next lineup.
Concludes your standard orientation protocol.
So this next part is just a bunch of walking through triggers, so the alarm clock starts beeping, and then we teleport, and if we're using certain lineups, we can click the clock immediately and keep going. Different runners have different lineups. Honestly, I don't know if I've ever seen Hippienator's lineup before on that wall there. But all that matters is that you're in the Y coordinate lined up with the clock. And now the perspective starts to get a little wacky. You can click this clock and use one of my favorite tricks, frame perfect. Oh no, oh.
Nope.
Oh, this frame is being annoying. There we go. Oh.
There we go.
A lot of new runners struggle with that in particular. There's not a lot of room for that painting to be super big, and so frame perfect just uses a certain lineup to get it perfectly sized. But if it falls over just a little bit, it can be a little finicky when it comes to entering.
To briefly describe the finite and fragile nature of the dream state.
Yeah, right now in the plot, everything's going wrong. You're supposed to have left the dream already, and you haven't. So now every room is turning into something that's just defying all your expectations. And it's meant to be really jarring to new players. So you're supposed to expect to use the stairs to get up somewhere, but no, it just breaks the floor. And so this next puzzle is probably one of the hardest for new players especially, because all of a sudden perception is not reality. And in fact, the first way that you look in these hallways is a blocked exit. And so you have to block off the side of the hallway that is not pointing towards the exit determined by the sign. And if that sounds confusing, it's because it is. But to speedrunners, it's not too hard. It just means you do a little snappy camera movement, and you can move on successfully. Here we're using box jumps again, just like an optical earlier. And then just a few more teleports.
Understand that it is possible to completely exhaust your supply of dreams, thereby entering a state in which you will not be able to wake up, even with the help of triggering mechanisms.
So now we're going to go into an elevator maze, which normally has arrows on the floor pointing of where to go, but we know exactly where to go without them. So we can cut the time spent in that elevator maze by up to 5 times, I think.
Sounds about right.
Now we're outside. Except we're not. We're actually in a big room, and the parallax effect ends when you get close enough to the walls. So we need to activate all 4 walls by getting close to one corner and moving straight back across the hypotenuse to the opposite corner. So then we can spawn that room with the clock triggering entering the level right within view. Now we're going into the second to last level, white space. There's going to be a lot of contrast between white and black in this level. There's a photosensitivity warning at the end. But for now, we're just waiting for a cutscene to end. It's about 30 seconds, and there's nothing you can do about it in Glitchless. We're just gonna hang out.
Yeah, it's the longest level in the game, in Glitchless, and it's mostly walking when, even in all collectibles, it's one of the shortest levels.
Yeah, it turns out there's a lot of glitches that you can use in the first room. The first room is unique in that it is a portal leading to itself. And so what we did is we took the portal into itself, which caused a paradox, which, quote unquote, breaks the dream, and we're now outside in the white space. So it's taking advantage of this high contrast white and black to give you a feeling of 2 dimensions, when really there's 3. And we're going to reset checkpoint here. It's a fancy speedrun strat to save 2 seconds magically.
Hello. My name is Dr.
There's some weird player size things that happen in this level where you're actually supposed to be 99% of your normal size. So by resetting checkpoint, we get back to full default size, which makes us 1% bigger and 1% faster. And because this level is so long, it saves a whole 2 seconds. Oh, I forgot to give the warning for the thunder, but it seems alright. It's the loudest sound of the game, and every time I watch a new player do it, they're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I'll turn down the volume," and then it's too quiet for the rest of the game. But yeah, as Hippienator mentioned, this is just a lot of walking. So again, that whole movement thing really coming into play.
You can get fairly low times without even knowing any of the speed strats if you just move in good lines, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
But in white space, I also faced the greatest
So,
challenge I could imagine.
We're gonna click a light switch here in a moment, which will make it seem like the game is over, like the screen will be black, but we're just looking at a black wall and we'll have removed our mouse cursor. When I started running this game, I had way too many runs that just included me standing there waiting.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is always a fun game. Again, sometimes I like to watch casual players play for the first time, and I like to count to see how long they stand there before they realize they're just looking at a wall. I think I've counted up to like 20 seconds once. But the reticle disappears, so that you don't know that it's not a loading screen until you start trying to move your camera. But now we're getting into the second to last puzzle. It's a chessboard where the tiles are only active when there's a chess piece on them. Normally there's 2, but we don't need 2, because we can jump resize and just bring the one chess piece with us. And the last in the game is a jump resize with this cube. There's ordinarily a piece of cheese on the other side of the wall, just like the very beginning of the game. Oh, and we're gonna have to go get it. Photosensitivity warning coming up. If you think this room is bad, just you wait. So yeah, if you have photosensitivity, just take a look away. I'll let you know when it's over. We call this bitrate hallway because of what it does to streams. Yeah, we are nearing the end here. We're going to grab this cube. Photosensitivity warning is over, and we're now falling into a big old clock that shows 8 a.m. I'm finally going to wake up soon. Time isn't going to end at the end of this level. It's going to end when we click the clock at the beginning of the next level. And so it's going to be very fast, but we're not there yet.
Time.
And that's time. Good job.
Thank you.
22:42. Hey, or 44. It's a pretty good time.
Yeah, I'm happy.
I think, was that faster than your practice runs today?
Yes.
Nice. Very nice.
But yeah, like if you are interested in trying to learn the game, there's some great tutorials made by Samwise. He also has for all collectibles. It's a very, very nice and wholesome community. So, do you have any shout-outs?
I like to recommend. Thanks, Hippie, for inviting me, and yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.